Today we have a deck that focuses on drawing low cost cards and getting villains in play. The actual king of this deck is Stitch Rockstar, who lets us exert a 2 cost or lower card we just played to draw a card. Getting through our deck quicker helps us go wide with low cost cards, and in the late game, if we need it, we have the other king of this deck, Hades, King of Olympus, who is Shift 6 and quests for base 1 lore, but adds an additional lore for each other villain you have in play. Let's go through the rest of the deck, and then I have some gameplay to show off this deck. The methodology for building this deck is I wanted as many 2 cost or lower villains that I could. Since Amber has no 2 cost or less villains, we need to get these cards from other colors. Looking through other ink colors for this criteria, and Emerald only has 2 cards that match, Ruby has even less with 1, Sapphire gets even worse with no 2 or less cost villains, Steel comes in with 1. Finally, our winner is Amethyst, who comes in at 3 cards matching those criteria. The first is Maleficent biding her time, who is our 1 cost 2 lore quester. Then we have Yzma Alchemist, who when she quests lets us look at the top card of our deck, and then we can leave it there or put it on the bottom of our deck. Finally, we have Dr. Facilier Charlatan, who has Challenger 2 with a whopping 4 willpower. Amethyst is also going to give us great draw power when added to Stitch Rockstar, so we are running 3 copies of Jafar, Keeper of Secrets, who is base 0 strength but gets +1 strength for each card in our hand. He is a perfect card for this deck with lots of draw power, and he is a villain. We also have 2 copies of Jafar, Wicked Sorcerer, who is another villain and has Challenger 3, making him a 5 strength on our turn. We have 2 copies of another Dr. Facilier, this time it's Remarkable Gentleman. He's in here primarily as he's a 3 cost villain, but he also has the ability that when we play a song, we look at the top 2 cards of our deck and put 1 back at the top and 1 on the bottom. For more draw power and another villain, we run 4 copies of Maleficent Sorceress, who lets us draw a card when she is played. Our final villain in the deck is Hades, Lord of the Underworld. This Hades lets us return a character from our discard to our hand and is a shift target for our Hades, King of Olympus. The last 3 characters we run are just good low-cost characters to help our Stitch Rockstar. The first is Archimedes, Highly Educated Owl. This card is just a great 1-cost inkable 2/2. We run 2 copies of Pascal, Rapunzel's Companion. This card is another 1-cost inkable card that gains evasive if we have another character in play. Our final character is Stitch New Dog, another great 1-cost inkable 2/2, but is also a shift target for our Stitch Rockstar. Moving on to action cards, we start off with 3 copies of Be Our Guest. This card lets us look at the top 4 of our deck and select a character to put in our hand. This is just good search for a character that we might need to bump up Hades' lore or to draw a card with Stitch. Speaking of draw, we have our Amethyst staple 4 of Friends on the other side. Not much more to say about this card past it lets us draw, and we have plenty of cards that can sing it. For items, we start off with 4 copies of Lantern. This item lets us exert it to pay 1 less ink for the next character we play that turn. This card is great with our high cost cards, and I've seen this question asked before, and yes, it stacks. So if we have 2 in play and exert both of them, our next character is 2 less ink. We run 2 copies of Magic Mirror for any time we have 4 extra ink that we can draw a card. Finishing up with 2 copies of White Rabbit's Pocket Watch, which for 1 ink and being exerted, lets us give a character rush, meaning they can challenge the turn they are played. This is great for dropping a big Jafar, Keeper of Secrets, and being able to challenge right away. I fully believe this can be a competitive deck with ample amounts of draw power and large top-end cards to close out a game. Now let's get into some gameplay. Alright, looks like we are going to go first. Got a couple Maleficents. We are going to go ahead and get rid of one of those. And then I think that's it. We have a nice low cost. Now we have a all inkable but 1 hand. I think this is a great starting hand to get some characters on board early. I'm going to go ahead and ink the Pocket Watch and then play our Maleficent and pass. The opponent's gonna ink, so they are on a ruby amethyst build. We'll see how quick we can get through this without a lot of their control elements popping off here. Go ahead and ink this Yzma and throw down a Pascal, and then quest with our Maleficent. They're going to ink a Maui, and then play a Magic Mirror, and take out our Maleficent. And our turn here. We're going to go ahead and ink our second Friends on the other side, then play our Maleficent Sorceress to draw a card. We see our Stitch Rockstar, awesome. Alright, looks like they're going to ink their own copy of Pocket Watch. And play an Elsa Snow Queen. And then pass it to us. We do see a Hades. Go ahead and ink our Jafar here. We don't really have too many cards in play. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and play our Hades to get back our Maleficent biding her time. And then I'm going to go ahead and quest with Pascal because Hades is still readied, so Pascal should still have his evasive, even if Maleficent is knocked out. They're going to ink one of their friends on the other side. And drop down a Jafar. And then I forgot they can't exert our Hades, so they'll go ahead and trade. And that's fine, we don't have the big Hades in our hand. And we get another Stitch Rockstar. I'll go ahead and ink this Dr. Facilier. And then drop our own Jafar Wicked Sorcerer and one of our Maleficents. And then I'll go ahead and quest with Pascal and Maleficent. And they're going to take out our Maleficent. And then they're going to befuddle our other Maleficent to our hand. And play a second Magic Mirror. And then they're going to quest with their Elsa. And it's our turn here. Go ahead and ink one of our Stitch Rockstars. Get the other one played here. I'm going to go ahead and quest with Pascal. And I'm going to go ahead and just trade. Actually, I forgot. They only have +3 on their turn. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out their other Jafar here. They're going to use one of their Magic Mirrors to draw a card. And ink an Archimedes. And just go ahead and pass. Go ahead and play this Dr. Facilier. And then exert it to draw a card. And then this is where Stitch Rockstar is great. The card we drew, we can now play. We also see our big Hades, potentially to get it on the board later. I'm going to go ahead and ink this Be Our Guest, and then play a Maleficent, but I do not want to exert them because I don't want them to be easy targets here. I'm going to go ahead and quest with Pascal and Stitch and Jafar, bringing us with an 11-1 lead. And a very wide board, and this is where Stitch Rockstar really shines. The ability to draw gets you another card that then I can play, and then exert, draw another card. And they're going to use a Magic Mirror to draw again. And they're going to take out our small Stitch. But they don't have anything else there. You can see we have 10 on board, so I'm just going to quest with all of them and win the game here. As you can see, Stitch Rockstar really enables you to keep going and play a small card, draw a card. We have plenty of ink by that turn, so then we can just keep cycling to get a wide board that when they don't have enough pressure, they didn't have their Be Prepared, that we can just win a very, very quick game against Ruby Amethyst.